Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Tech Motoring. You join me here in front of my Fiat 500e, and on today's episode we're going to be taking a look at this driver's side window because something has failed in the door, and today we're going to dive in and try to figure out what's going on and how we can fix it. So let's dive in and take a look. Hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned. We're coming right back at you. All right, everybody, welcome back. So Paul here with another Fiat 500e video here. So this is our 2017 Fiat 500e that we picked up earlier this year. I think it was in May of 2024. And so we've had a lot of great fun with this car. It's been fantastic to own, and we've had a lot of fun with it. But of course, a 7-year-old car is not without some faults. And so today we're actually going to be looking at a most recent fault that we've had to this car, which is this window. Now, going back to when I first bought the car, I noticed that when I rolled down the window, this window seemed to have get bound up in the door somewhere, and you would hear it just kind of getting bound up at some point. So it was a weird situation. I didn't know what to do, but the window still functioned up and down. It just had some weird sound. Well, a few months after that, I closed the door one day and I heard something bloop and fall into the bottom of the door. However, at this point, the window sounded and looked perfectly fine going up and down. I didn't have any more of that binding issue, and it was working fine. Up until a couple of weeks ago, when I went to go put the window down, and it kind of did this weird thing where it just stopped, and it kind of got stuck, and obviously we have some issues with the internal track of the window that we're going to dive in and take a look at today. So we're going to kind of just do an overview of this process to see what it takes to take this door panel off to get behind here and see what's going on with that. Now, first, let's go ahead. I want to drop the window down before we start ripping panels off, just in case. The last thing I need is this window to fall into the door. I don't know the situation inside the door, but maybe I can show you what it's doing at the same time. But I do have to hold the window because I don't want this thing to break. So let's go ahead. Put the key in there, and we are going to lower the window. Of course, the window switch is in the console here. So yes, as you can see, the window is now not going down. And there it goes. Okay, so the track is down, but the window is not. So, woo. Okay, I think we're going to stop right there. Clearly, this window appears to have fallen off the track or something of the sorts. So we're going to leave it right there. I think this is at a... It's still going down. Okay, right there. I think that's where it's going to stay until we can get this door panel off. Clearly, we have some issues here, and we're going to have to get those fixed up today. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this today and see what we need to do to get this window fixed up.
All right, so once again, as I mentioned before, I have zero experience with taking this door panel off here on this vehicle. So this is going to be completely new to me. The only thing I see is I see a little cover right here, which appears to maybe have a screw behind it. I'm going to assume that maybe this cover has to come off. I do have some of my trim removal tools. I haven't seen anything else that has stuck out yet, but I'll get underneath this door here and double check that. Looks like there's another one right here, and perhaps there's a screw behind here. Not sure yet. We also have to make sure that when we take this off that we're thinking about the electrical plugs on the back side of the mirror controls. Once again, the window controls are in the center console over there, so we don't have to worry about those. Speaker as well. So just some things to think about when we're doing this process here. I assume the bottom of this probably just snaps off if I pull on it quite a bit, so I'm thinking this shouldn't be too bad today. Obviously, this looks like... This cover might have to come off. There's might be something behind here in order to get this handle through the door panel itself. So yep, once again, we'll be looking into what it takes to get through all of that stuff. So let's dive in. Let's take a look. Try some things. Hopefully not break anything. All right, so really easily just got those two covers off there. I just used a little flathead screwdriver because it was stiff enough for me to get inside of there. And you can see there's a couple screws. Actually, this screw doesn't even look like it's in all the way, so I almost wonder if this door panel's been off at some point. Yeah, some interesting things with this car I've found over my ownership. But yeah, so we're going to take these screws out, see how much that loosens up the door, and kind of go from there and just, you know, piece by piece. Once again, I'm going to take a look at this as well. I'm thinking there might be something behind here, and possibly, well, definitely something. This has to come off. So I'm going to try to take a plastic trim tool and take this off as well. Make sure you hold on to all your stuff, you know, like these little caps here, these covers. Always keep these someplace safe. I'll put them in that box for now. And this way we don't lose anything. So let's go a little deeper. Let's take these screws out and see what we can find behind there. All right, so it looks like I pulled on this bottom corner here, and that started the process of, oh, looks like a little washer, like a little foam washer fell out there. We'll take a look at that a little bit. All right, there's that. Okay, so speaker is part of the door, so no worries there. Should put new speakers in this car, huh? Get a little bit of a thump in the sound system. All right, so I'm getting caught up right here. So there's definitely something behind this panel that I need to get into. There's probably a couple screws in there. So let's figure out what we need to do to get in there next. And sure enough, there was 2 more bolts right behind here. So we just need to get these out. And then I think the rest of this door is just gonna pop out, and then we gotta lift it up, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead, get those 2 bolts out and see what we are greeted with on the other side of this door. Oh boy. All right, so we got the 2 bolts out here. So as you can see, these washers are sort of like the same size as this hole. And I've said this in a previous video working on this car, is I really think somebody has taken apart this car sometime in the past. I think some people were trying to experiment. This little spacer or washer or whatever it was came off of that area. I'll show you that when we get the door panel off. It looks like there might still be one there. Maybe that one fell already too. But yeah, there could be a lot of loose parts in this door that I'm a little afraid of right now. So this door panel is completely loose now, as you can see. So we're just going to lift it up over this section here and take the door panel off and see how it looks. All right, so and there is. All right, so there is the door handle release mechanism, and then we also have... So to try to get you up close, we were able to take that clip off. That is for your mirror controls, and then we have this door, the door release for the outside door handle, and that has some sort of weird clipping mechanism. I was able to get this white piece out here, but haven't quite got figured out that side yet. So I think I need to take that little red tab off, and then that should get me where I need to go. And sure enough, it was the red tab. You just have to take this piece off here. Take that off the steel part right there. And then this stays with the door handle on this side. So here's the inside of the door panel here. Nothing really to see. Over here you can see we have our speaker, which I assume is the factory speaker. And then we have this little cover over here, which once again, that looks like it may have been ripped open at one point. But yeah, this must be obviously some foam padding for, you know, sound deadening in the car. Obviously, this looks like it's been into before, so I'm assuming this has probably been repaired at one point, this window. We'll just have to jump in and see. So let me get this door panel off my foot and put this somewhere in the garage, and then we'll dive in and see what we have inside the door panel. All right, so looking at this little foam barrier they put up, so obviously this is adhered to the inside of the door here. So this is why this was ripped off, probably because they had to get in here somehow. So they were like, well, I don't know what else to do other than just rip it off. Yeah, there is a bolt here as well that I don't know what this holds. Hopefully I didn't rip that out through the door. Hopefully that wasn't supposed to come out sooner, but yeah, so interesting to see. I guess we're just going to continue to rip this. There's a piece of long hair in there. Maybe that was from the previous person. So looking here, let me see if I can find the piece that fell into the door, and then we'll try to give you an update on what's going on here. This is a mess with this foam stuff though, wow. All right, so some sort of rubber block with some adhesive on one side that was in the bottom of the door.
I distinctly remember hearing a metallic sound when whatever it was fell into the door. Oh. That is a plastic clip of sorts. That may have been it. So maybe it wasn't metallic, maybe it was unfortunately that plastic piece. All right, so it might be a little difficult to see, but as you can see here, looks like the bottom of the window here, sorry, I can't focus, it looks like it may have slipped out of this mechanism here that holds the window. So I have to figure out a little bit more about how this is supposed to work, but this is kind of just sitting precariously here. I believe that little notch right there, sorry, blurred it out, is supposed to go through that hole in the window, which is supposed to hold this in place. Not sure if maybe this white piece here is maybe loose and maybe why it bumped out for some reason. I'm not sure, but I think what we're going to do is try to get this set in there to some degree and then figure out if we're missing something. Maybe it has something to do with this rubber piece here. This plastic piece looks like it maybe came off of here or something. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. Hopefully it's not important. This is all just a guessing game right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to get this window set into that area and see if that helps us at all. All right, so I've been playing with this for a few minutes here. So as we can see, I got the window taped up as high as it goes into the door. So I think that's something that I needed to do. And it doesn't look like the track or that little finger there that's supposed to grab inside the hole of the window, it doesn't look like it's grabbing that hole. And as we can see from these nuts here, they look like they've been adjusted before. So this window's definitely had an issue in the past, you could tell. So you can see like the blue line here doesn't match the blue line that's there. Same with this one here. So this is definitely not factory settings, and they're not loose, or at least they're not, you know, finger loose, but I believe it's what's causing some of these issues. Now, one of the things I did notice is that way down here in the door, let me see if we get some light on it here. When the window comes all the way down, it slams down and kind of almost falls off of the track. And then it also, when it comes all the way to the top, it makes a pretty horrible sound when it's trying to grab that window. So I definitely think there's something off with this track. I might actually have to do some Googling and figure out what people do to fix this issue. But it definitely looks like this has been worked on before. Definitely looks like this was an issue in the past. And I still don't see anything down there that would have been that metallic piece, but maybe it was that plastic piece. But yeah, so we need to look into this, figure this out. Okay, so after a little bit of research and some tinkering, I was able to get that clip. You can see the little white clip protruding through that hole in the glass now. So I was able to get that clip lined up with the window. However, I think part of my problem is possibly two things. Number one, I think the window regulator is going too far down and possibly too far up. Because I did have to lower the window just a hair to get it to line up with that hole. And when it gets all the way to the bottom, it tends to make this like pop sound. And I'm not sure why it decides to push itself down all that much. I was also looking at there looks like there's some sort of track here with a clip in the track. That is also possible that could be bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this tape off the window that I was using to hold it up while I was looking down at the regulator and the track and everything. I'm going to lower the window down all the way, and I'm going to see if that clip falls back off again or whatever the case may be. I'm not really sure what's causing this yet, but I'm going to try to narrow it down, and I'm going to see if I can identify where that clip is. It's supposed to be somewhere here on the inside of the door. So let's go ahead and try that and see what we're at. So I'm not a professional at this stuff in any way, shape, or form, but it also looks like this was supposed to be taken out before I took the door thing off. So it is behind that, the handle thing that was supposed to be taken out. So I might have either broke that plastic or made it worse. As you can see here, that is where this goes. And yeah, so my bad. So yeah, I was supposed to take that plastic
round piece off before I did that. And also, these are those washers I was pointing out before. They're like little snap-in washers or something. I don't like it. Honestly, a lot of the design stuff I come across on this vehicle is really just poor design. Yeah, anyway. But let's go ahead. Let's try to get this situated, and maybe we can get lucky and try to save it for as long as we can. And worst case, I might have to get a window regulator. Second worst case is I may have to find that little clip that is supposed to be on the side of the window. So it's basically like right in here on the window. And if I lost the clip, or if the clip is broken off, or there's supposed to be a pin that goes through that clip, if for some reason any of those parts are missing, then this is going to be a much bigger job than I was hoping. Worst case scenario, if I could replace the regulator because maybe the regulator's out of whack, that would probably be a lot easier to deal with at this point. But let's play with the window and see what happens. Okay.
All right, so let's see what happens here when I lower the window down all the way. Once again, I noticed before that it was falling off the track basically when it was getting to the bottom. Now I did loosen these bolts a little bit, so let me tighten these up real quick and make sure that these are not going to cause any problems. And these are the bolts that I'll need to take out if I decide to replace the regulator in the future, which might actually be part of this video, depending on how we how we do today. So, all right. So that's tight. Let's go ahead. I hate having the window switch over here. I mean, it looks like it goes down pretty smoothly, which I'm happy with. And it looks like that clip is now holding on to the window okay. Honestly, I wish it was a little bit better. It is seems like such a terrible design, but it did look like the window went up and down pretty evenly here. Let's just see. That's the sound that bothers me, because that's the regulator going up too far, and then that little clip snaps off. And so, yeah. So now it went up too far, and now that little clip has fallen off out of the little hole in the window. And now it looks like it's actually jammed, so let's see if I can loosen this a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so now it's back in the hole there. So it's like the regulator's going up too far. Down is good. Up is good until it goes too far. And then it's a problem. I guess let's see how much a regulator costs. Okay, well, it looks like I've learned quite a bit about window regulators and how they work. What it appears that is that when the window is coming up, it's almost like it's overextending the window regulator and it's pushing the window up higher. And then what's happening is that clip that's like this is basically running into the window and then popping out of the window. And when you roll the window back down, the regulator doesn't always grab, or the clip doesn't always grab inside of that hole. And so either two things happen because of that. Either the window gets jammed, and what happens is then the window doesn't move, I've noticed, or you have the issue what we had before, which started this, which is basically the window or the motor will go down, or the regulator goes down, but the window basically stays where it is. So at this point, what I have figured out is this. Right now, the window is working perfectly fine. So we could go down with the window all the way to the bottom, no problems whatsoever. I can go up with the window to a certain point, and I have to stop it manually, because if I hold it too long, occasionally it works perfectly fine, I've noticed, but if I hold it for too long, what happens is it goes up too high, it snaps the clip out, and then all of a sudden we have an issue where it doesn't always grab it on the way back down. So that is kind of the issue we're having here. So once again, we could see The window tracks perfectly fine. It goes up straight, it comes down straight. There's no binding whatsoever with the window, which is awesome to see. However, the issue is on occasion, if you hold it too long while it's going up, it does kind of extend too far and then it pops that clip out. So I think ideally the fix here is a new window regulator. I think that's the only thing that we're going to be able to do to really fix this permanently. And they don't look like they're all that expensive, maybe about $40 to $50 for a window regulator. I think that's a good investment. This way I don't have to worry about this window anymore and go from there. So I think what we're going to do for today is I'm just going to put this all back together and then we'll catch up with you in the near future with a regulator and we'll see what we can do with that. All right, everybody, will you join me back about 2 weeks later? So we got our new window regulator here that we're going to get installed in our Fiat here. So what we need to do to get this swapped out is we need to remove the old regulator, which is held in by just 3 bolts. In fact, you can see them right here, one here, and one here. So we just need to take those 3 nuts off. The bolts are actually on the window regulator bracket here. So we take those 3 bolts off. Make sure you take the electrical plug off, which is right here. And then once you pull that off, then that thing should come out freely. We got the window up as far as it goes, and we got it taped. So this way it doesn't, fall back into the door once we take the regulator out. So make sure that you tape that up, make sure that's nice and secure. And then we're going to get these 3 nuts taken off of these bolts and then pull out the regulator. And then we're going to put these side by side. We're going to see what they look like and see if there's any major differences between them. And kind of go from there, because obviously this is a pretty common issue on the Fiat, so maybe they've improved this in the aftermarket. And this is actually a Dorman product. I did not get this directly from Fiat or Stellantis or Chrysler, whoever you want to call it. I didn't get it directly from them. This is a Dorman product, so it's a pretty good brand. I always used Dorman my whole entire life pretty much, so that's what I went with. And if you need it, I could put a link down in the description below to this product if you're interested in seeing this one. Now, once again, this is going to be the one for the driver door, not for the passenger door. So I'll put a link down below for both of those. But yep, so we went with the Dorman one. All right, let's take these 3 bolts off. Let's get that out, and let's take a look at these side by side. All right, so once again, we're going to be taking out these 3 bolts right here. So we have the one here, the one up here, and the one down here. They're labeled with this little blue marker on it, probably from the factory, and they are 10 millimeters. So what we're going to do is just going to take those off, and this foam in the door is really annoying. I assume this foam is supposed to be for some sort of sound deadening, considering this is the Fiat 500e. I'll have to find that one later. And last one. All right, and once again, this plug is over here. It has this little yellow connector lock on it, so let me get you close up for this one, actually. All right, so you can see where I took out that nut, and that one there off of those studs. And then this is the plug right here. So this has to come off. Now what you do is this is locked on, like so, as you can see. So what you do is you pull this back like that to unlock it. And then what I had to do actually on top of that is I actually had to stick a little screwdriver in there to pick up this little black piece here just a little bit, just to get over the little latch safety pin that was held on by this side here. You can see it right there, that piece. And so I had to help it just a little bit to get over that, because I definitely didn't want to break this. But yeah, so I had to do that to get the connector off of the plug there. So let's go ahead and get this regulator out and see what we're looking at. All right, there's the old window regulator. The other thing I forgot to mention too is try to bring this down so it's no longer connected to the window. Try to bring that down in the door. And how you do that is this little piece right here is what connects to the little hole in the window, actually. And that's what drags the window down. And so what you want to do is make sure that that's not grabbing onto the window when you pull the window down with the button. And then once you get this towards the middle of the bracket, or the middle of the regulator, you can pull this out just like we did. Let's go take a look at them. All right, so as you can see here, we have the old one here on the left and we have the new one here on the right. So really not much difference between these two, except I can show you a couple things that I've started putting the pieces together. So you can see here we have this little piece of
basically foam here on the new one. We're missing that on this one. Now, remember earlier in this video when I found this little piece in the door, I believe that is where that once was. So I don't know how important of a piece this is. This might be something that braces this motor up against like the inside of the door, which maybe stops it from twisting, which may have led to some of the premature failing of this regulator system here. So that might have been as simple as that. That may have been part of the culprit. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but you know, we'll see. Then we also had this little plastic piece here, which obviously comes off of this area. So if we flip this over, we can see the differences between the old one and the new one. So I did kind of break, I think, a little bit off of this one actually while I was trying to work on this last time. And let's go ahead and flip this one over real quick. So you can see where that little circular, half circular piece is right there. That is no longer there on this one. And yeah, so I'm not really sure how much difference there is between these two, other than maybe that. Even this little piece right here that grabs onto the window, let's see if I get a good focus on it. That piece looks pretty similar in my opinion. Yep, so I'm thinking these are pretty similar. Once again, it's hard to tell sometimes with aftermarket stuff. They can be either designed better or designed exactly the same, which might or may not be the greatest thing. But, you know, we can see that this was, if this is the original one. Now, once again, it looks like somebody was definitely in this door at one point. Whether or not this was a replacement under warranty that was done by Fiat themselves, or if this is like an aftermarket one. I have to look up maybe these numbers here to see if this is maybe an aftermarket one as well. I'm not really sure, but definitely somebody was in this car, in this door, and trying to fix this window issue at some point in the life of this car. So who knows? We don't know exactly what the deal is with that, but at least I'm putting in a different brand this time, so maybe we won't have this issue moving forward. But let's get this in the car. Let's get this installed. It should be pretty easy. Put it in just like we took it out. Run this, run the 3 bolts through the holes, tighten those down, plug it in, run this motor to the top where it grabs the window, and then we should be able to freely move the window up and down, or at least that's the hope. Let's hope it works. All right, so as mentioned before, we're just going to put this back up the way we took it out. All right, there we go. Got all 3 in. And I don't really know if there's specific torque settings for these, so we're just going to make them good and tight. And yeah, and that's good and tight. Okay, cool. At this point, what we're going to do is plug the plug back in here for power to the window. So we slide that on like so, put the locking mechanism back in. Now we're going to roll the window up, and hopefully the latch grabs it properly, and then we'll give it a test up and down and see how it goes. Ooh, that motor sounds better too. Okay, it's getting close. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the tape off the windows and see if we can get the little clip there to hang into the window. And we'll go from there. Hopefully this is all we needed. All right, so I do have to double check something here because as you can see, it's sitting here on this little bumper, and this is not quite grabbing inside of the window. So I don't know if I have to put a little bit of force on that to get it to snap into the window, but the old one definitely didn't have this issue. It would grab onto the window fine. The problem is whether or not it was actually, it was basically just too loose. That's basically what the old one was doing. So it was just falling out of that hole. So I'm thinking I need a little bit of force to get that. So something I'm noticing now, I'm looking at the old one, you can see it has these little rubber, the positions here where it sits the window inside of that, which actually seems like a pretty good idea. Whereas The new one just has these little pads here. Now the pads actually look like they might be holding up this process here. I don't know how hard I need to push down on the window for that clip to sit inside of that hole. I feel like it's just a little bit too much, but I mean, maybe that's what makes it really secure. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. So I think I'm going to just try to give it a good heave-ho here and see if I can get that to lock in. Try to squash these pads as much as possible. That might be just the way we do it. All right, well, it took a little bit of doing and a couple choice words, but I finally got that little tab there to come through the glass and grab it. Now that is really, really tight through that hole now, and it's definitely not going to be moving anywhere. As you can see, it's resting on those pads there as it should, so I didn't have to do anything with those pads, just had to do a little bit of tinkering to get that to go through, but once it got through, it is nice and tight now, so that is perfect.
All right, so we got that tab through the window. Boy, well, that was yeah, that was fun. All right, so we got that going, and as you can see here now, window goes down, window goes up, window goes down, window goes up. One more time. Window goes down, window goes up. I can do this all day. All right, so now that we got everything done there, we're just gonna go ahead and, you know, basically spruce this up here. Just basically put that back the way it was. Like I said, this was all ripped open before I got in here. So whoever was in here once before, probably trying to fix this window issue, probably ripped this all open at one point. So we want to make sure that obviously the window motor is plugged in, which is what we tested before. So we'll go ahead and get the door panel back on. We're going to plug this plug back in, and then we have to plug our little handle cable back in as well. Our speaker we didn't touch, so we don't have to do anything with that. I should have put speakers in this car while I was sitting here with this open, but actually these are riveted in, these speakers, so these things would probably be a pain to get out and replace. It's weird. Why would you rivet in the speakers like that? Anyway, let's get the door panel. Let's put this back on. All right, so door panel. Once again, we have this right here, which is the where the door release cable goes. So we have to put that mechanism back through there. And then we have our one plug right here. So we got to make sure we plug that back in. And that's it for the door panel. It's actually a pretty simple door panel, especially since the windows are, you know, in the center of the car and not on the door panel like most cars. Oop. All right, now let's go get the bolts and finish it up. And don't forget these couple plastic trim pieces here. We got some screw covers on the side of the door panel. There we go. And we have that little trim piece there. And then the main one here, make sure that's in, and boom, just like that. All back together. All right, everybody, well, there you go. So there is installing a window regulator in a Fiat 500, or in this case, a Fiat 500e. So as you can see, the process is not too bad. Just making sure you take the door panel off, get behind the door, take those 3 bolts out for the regulator. Obviously, mine was pretty broken. There was obviously some issues with it, which was causing my window issue with the car. And I'm glad that this fix was relatively inexpensive, and now I have access to my driver's side window again. And I really love this car. I've owned it now for a little over 6 months, and I really enjoy this car, and these little tinker projects that I do on it really make it fun for me. And so I hope this video helped you out. If you're interested in more Fiat 500e content, make sure you go over and take a look at some of the videos. I'll link down in the description, and of course I'll throw some up in these tiles that pop up around the screen here for you. Of course, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. And remember, welcome to the future. Welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you soon.